June 25th, 2009, the day the internet collectively fell to its knees in a South Pole bubble coat. Michael Jackson was dead. And for the next 72 hours, society lost every ounce of composure it had left. Twitter crashed. Facebook turned into a digital repass. CNN was hyperventilating. BET played enough Michael Jackson videos to summon him back from the dead. People who ain't listened to Michael Jackson since flip phones suddenly became grief counselors. Radio stations ran MJ marathons so long the DJs forgot what else they could play. Folks were refreshing TMZ like Beyonce tickets just dropped. The media acted like the moon exploded over Atlanta. This wasn't just celebrity news. This was the first internet age funeral. And baby, history was ghetto. Welcome back to History Was Ghetto, the series where we revisit the moments in history where society acted like somebody mixed Hennessy, dial-up internet, and misinformation together in a laboratory. We've covered Y2K and the night civilization almost crashed. We've covered Napster and LimeWire and how we really risked our entire computer for free music. And today, we're going somewhere none of those episodes could prepare you for. Today, we are entering the chat during the most chaotic 72 hours the internet ever produced. Michael Jackson's death and how the internet lost its damn mind. Subscribe right now if you remember exactly where you were when Michael Jackson died. And if your mama suddenly became a music historian that week, you are home. So let's get into the first segment. TMZ beat everybody to the funeral. So TMZ published the news at 2:44 p.m. Pacific. The AP, Reuters, and CNN were still seeking confirmation. Let me set the scene for you. The year is 2009. TMZ is 2 years old, and the mainstream press still treated it like a tabloid run out of a strip mall. Then TMZ scooped the world on the biggest celebrity death in a generation. This is the moment gossip became journalism, whether journalism liked it or not. The immediate public reaction was denial, not grief, denial. The first response wasn't crying, it was, TMZ is lying. People went to CNN.com to fact check a gossip site. CNN didn't have it. People went back to TMZ. CNN still didn't have it. Wait, is TMZ just right? That was the cognitive dissonance of 2009. Twitter wasn't even 4 years old. When the news broke, the platform experienced what engineers later called a significant strain on infrastructure. That is tech speak for everybody on Earth logged on simultaneously and the servers panicked. The fail whale, the little cartoon whale that appeared when Twitter crashed, became the de facto symbol of the day. Michael Jackson was the first person whose death literally broke social media. Phone lines, next, people called their parents called their parents, landlines jammed in 2009. Your auntie was calling people she hadn't spoke to since the Clinton administration, specifically to confirm Michael Jackson was gone. Meanwhile, at CNN, the anchor on air when it was confirmed looked like he had been told live on television that Gravity had been canceled. Every network scrambled to make their graphics look appropriately somber within about 11 minutes. and they all chose the same font. Somebody had a Michael Jackson graphic ready, which raises a question nobody wants to answer out loud. Because back then, TMZ had the credibility of a gas station psychic. CNN was still confirming sources while TMZ had already had the obituary, family tree, and the PowerPoint presentation already ready. TMZ had the obituary ready before the hospital had the paperwork. That's not journalism. That's spiritual, Justin.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's that deep.
Those people were connected to something. News anchors were so dramatic, you'd think Rihanna had announced Oxygen was canceled. Michael Jackson dying was one of the first moments where social media beat traditional news. So I'm going to ask the audience this. Where were you when you found out Michael Jackson died? Let's start with you, Justin. Where were you? Were you even born yet when Michael Jackson, when it was announced Michael Jackson died?
This is 2009, right?
Yes.
I was 8 years old. And
I feel old.
I had just gotten home from school. My grandma had just picked me up. I remember because all my friends were with me. And my grandma told us she was crying. And my friend, who was my age, he started crying. I hadn't listened to much of any Michael Jackson at that age. So I said, who?
Who?
Like, I knew who he was, but I didn't know enough to be like, who? I was like, I had to be reminded. I was 8. Afterwards, I was like, oh, fuck. I was like, that's upsetting. That was my reaction. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And also, I need to specifically know who found out from a text message from someone they hadn't spoke to in 6 months, because that person exists in every single one of your lives. So let's go to segment 2 and what we're going to call today, Everybody Became Related to Michael Jackson. So this is when the Facebook essay phenomenon deserves its own minute. Within hours, people who had never posted more than a birthday greeting were writing 400-word eulogies with timestamps like they were filing a report. I remember the first time I heard Thriller. I was 7. I was eating cereal. I didn't know then I was in the presence of something sacred. Bitch, you were eating Cocoa Puffs. You were not at the Last Supper? Let's get to the fake personal connection Olympics. That shit began immediately.
Everybody was the biggest fan.
I met Michael once. You did not. My cousin's friend worked at Sony and says he was the nicest man alive. That's third-hand information from an unverified source who works at a record label. I feel like I knew him. You knew his discography. That's different. Teacher stopped class. This is documented and real.
Yeah, this is insane to me when I heard this.
There is an entire generation of students who remember their teacher who had been unmoved by standardized testing reform, a broken HVAC system, and 30 children suddenly needing a moment because Michael Jackson died. Some of them played Man in the Mirror on a classroom CD player in 2009. That's commitment to the grief.
That's insane.
Celebrities making it about themselves hit a specific peak. The tributes that began, I will never forget the day I learned that Michael Jackson changed my life, are a genre into itself, where they technically are speaking about Michael Jackson and functionally about the person writing it.
It's like a humble brag, sort of like
One very famous singer posted a tribute that used the word I 14 times. And as you would know it, this is the celebrity grief template that still exists today. And it was born on June 25th, 2009. Black households specifically, and this is a cultural truth, reacted with a particular kind of devastation because Michael Jackson wasn't just a celebrity in black homes. He was family adjacent. He was the cousin who made it. He was proof that something from your world could be the most famous thing on earth. And losing him felt personal in a way that had no clean cultural language yet. Of course, White coworkers showed up on Monday morning with MJ trivia like they'd been doing research all weekend. Brother, last Thursday, you didn't even know Off the Wall existed. You have changed your entire identity in 72 hours.
I wish I could have experienced some of this. This sounds like an interesting time.
It was interesting. It was also annoying.
I would love to know where you were during this.
I worked at Macy's at the time. And when I wasn't fighting, I heard the news. I probably was fighting. I know it probably was on warning.
I worked at Macy's too. Macy's is crazy.
Yeah. Let's go to segment 3. The internet invented the conspiracy crack. Now, let's get into the conspiracy theory side of Michael Jackson's death. What you doing? Hit that subscribe button right now. Right now. I said right now. Damn it. Damn it to hell. Now let's get into oh boy, this. Now we've established that the general public lost their minds. We've established that Black households went through a full communal mourning protocol that involved phone calls, repast food, and at least 2 people who definitely did not know Michael Jackson personally. But that was just the warm-up act, because while the civilians were typing Facebook essays and crying in the T-Mobile break room, the internet was just getting started. June 25th, 2009 was the day that the internet discovered conspiracy crack. And baby, it has been addicted ever since. Let me paint you a picture. Michael Jackson is pronounced dead at 2:26 p.m. Pacific time. TMZ publishes at 2:44 p.m. and at approximately 3:15 p.m., somebody on a message board posted a 9-paragraph theory about how Michael Jackson faked his own death. The man had not reached room temperature, and somebody was already typing in all lowercase with no punctuation about how this was all a plan. Now, the theory had a logic to it. I want to be fair. Michael Jackson was in debt, significant debt. The This Is It tour, 50 shows at the O2 Arena in London, was reportedly the only way to dig out from under it. 1, he was broke. 2, the tour was going to kill him anyway. 3, he faked his death to escape the financial pressure. 4, he is currently living somewhere warm and quiet.
It's always Cuba or something like that.
Now, that logic has one catastrophic flaw in it. Faking your death does not make your debt disappear. Sony Music doesn't go, well, he's technically dead now, so write it off. AG Live does not say nobody confirmed, cancel the invoice. Those lawyers were going to find Michael Jackson in whatever afterlife he chose, physical or metaphysical. But did the internet care about that? They did not. Now we need to talk about Dr. Conrad Murray. Dr. Conrad Murray was Michael Jackson's personal physician. He was the person who administered propofol to help Michael sleep. And on June 24th, 2009, propofol was a word that approximately 11 people outside of anesthesiology could define. You like that?
That was bars, yeah.
On June 26, 2009, every person on Facebook was a propofol expert. People who could not name their own primary care physician were explaining the properties of propofol in the comment section of a BET News post.
That's funny.
Dr. Conrad Murray was convicted in the court of public opinion before the man had been charged with anything. His Wikipedia page became a crime scene. People were adding information to it in real time. Incorrect information. Competent, incorrect information.
Wikipedia was the Wild West back in the days.
And look, he was eventually convicted involuntary manslaughter, 2011. But in 2009, before any of that, the internet held its own trial with no evidence, no due process, no legal counsel, just vibes in the comment section. That's the system we built. Then let's get to this. Somebody decided that Michael Jackson was alive in Cuba with Tupac.
I told you, it's always Cuba.
Cuba, of all the places on this earth, of all the countries, territories, islands, and uninhabited landmasses available, the theory was Cuba. But not just Cuba generally, the same Cuba, together, Michael Jackson and Tupac Shakur, cohabitating in the Caribbean, having successfully fooled the entire world, just vibing.
What would make them think that those two would not get spotted in Cuba? Do you think they didn't have fans in Cuba? Like,
Nobody in this theory asked what they were doing there. Nobody asked what the arrangement looked like. Were they roommates, neighbors? Had they built a compound? What was the daily schedule? Did Tupac know the moonwalk? Were they collaborating? These are the questions a responsible conspiracy theorist asks. Cuba just became the Shawshank Redemption of celebrity death mythology, the place you escape to when the story needs an ending that isn't death.
Maybe that's where they went at the end of the movie. They went to Cuba.
Michael alive in Cuba with Tupac. Share before they delete this. Who is they in that sentence? Who are the people with the power to delete a Facebook post about two deceased entertainers living in Cuba? We were not asking the right questions. Well, let's get to the YouTube documentary era. That's where it was born. Some person sat down at a computer running Windows Vista. They opened Windows Movie Maker. They found a dramatic piano loop on a free stock music site. They took blurry screenshots from news websites and they produced a 47-minute documentary in approximately 19 hours. And it got 3 million views. 3 million. Because of the red circles. Somebody figured out that if you put a red circle on a blurry photo and then zoom in slowly while the piano is playing, people will believe that red circle is evidence of anything. The red circle could be around a fucking doorknob. The red circle could be around a fucking cloud. Didn't matter. Red circle plus dramatic piano equals proof.
That's still true to this day. It's crazy. Like in thumbnails.
That is the template. That is the format. Every conspiracy theory video you have watched in the 15 years since Michael Jackson died uses that exact same template. The blurry screenshot, the red circle, the dramatic piano, the narrator who sounds like he knows something. It all started here in 2009. 17 years ago. In the Michael Jackson death truther community, you are welcome, internet. Now let's get to the Illuminati. And then somebody brought up the Illuminati. It landed in 2009, which was, and I need you to remember this, the year after the global financial crisis. People had just watched the economy collapse. They had just watched banks get bailed out while regular people lost their homes. They had just watched powerful people make decisions that nobody voted on and nobody was explaining clearly. So when somebody said the Illuminati killed Michael Jackson, people didn't hear crazy conspiracy theory. They heard powerful people made a secret decision and somebody died. And in 2009, that sentence rhymed with recent experience. People who could not tell you what the Illuminati was 3 weeks earlier were not explaining it in the church parking lot. Complete with hand gestures, complete with do your research. And the research was a YouTube video with a fucking red circle and a fucking piano. This is the world that we built.
Oh man, it's an infinite feedback loop.
Now let me just get into, some impressions of the characters that was running rampant in this time. In the interest of historical accuracy, I need to introduce you to 3 people who were everywhere in 2009. 3 specific types of human beings who made this entire situation significantly worse. So, character 1, conspiracy auntie. Baby, I'm just saying. You didn't see the last rehearsal footage? He looked too healthy. Michael Jackson, God rest his soul, looked too healthy to die. And I called your uncle. You know your uncle works near a hospital. He said the paperwork wasn't right. I'm not saying nothing. I'm just saying, don't post this. She said, don't post this, and then forwarded it to her entire contact list, including people she hadn't spoken to since fucking 2003. Then you have the YouTube narrator. What if everything you were told was a lie? The official story says Michael Jackson died of cardiac arrest. But look closely at this photo. Do you see it? The shadow in the lower left corner of the ambulance. We've circled it in red. Nigga, that's a parking meter. That is a parking meter in the lower left corner of the ambulance. You circled a fucking parking meter and called it evidence. And 17 million people watched the video. 17 million. And then you have the fake spiritual influencer. Michael didn't die. Michael transcended. You cannot kill a frequency that high. The body was just a vessel, and the vessel had completed its assignment. He moonwalked out of the physical plane and into the cosmic one. I'm starting a healing circle on Thursday. Bring sage and PayPal me $15 for the candles. The PayPal. She brought it all the way home to a PayPal request. God bless her. And here's the thing about all three of those people. They weren't evil. They weren't stupid. They were people who loved Michael Jackson and could not process the reality that something that large could just be gone. And the internet, which had no grief counselors, no editors, no one in charge of anything, handed them a microphone and told them their feelings were facts. That's the conspiracy crack. It wasn't about Michael Jackson. It was about the first time the internet let everybody feel like they had figured something out, like they had the real answer, like their research mattered. And once you give people that feeling, you cannot take it back. We have been living with that ever since. Anyway, while all of that was happening on the internet, the mainstream media was doing something somehow even more chaotic. I'm going to call this segment, the media turned this into the Super Bowl of sadness. Now, here is where you see the 24/7 coverage that started within the hour and ran for days, not hours, days. Every network cleared their schedule. If there was a war happening somewhere, it was briefly bumped. Congress could have passed a bill renaming the country and nobody would have known. For approximately 72 hours, Michael Jackson was the news cycle. Not a part of it, the whole fucking thing. The helicopter over Neverland Ranch shot became its own genre. News helicopters just hovering over a property, showing nothing for hours, with a news anchor narrating it like something was about to happen. Saying, we are continuing to watch the situation in Neverland Ranch. What situation? A house is sitting there. You are watching a house. This is the visual equivalent of a dial tone being classified as breaking news. Whew. The instant expert phenomenon was astonishing too. By hour 6, every network had a Michael Jackson biographer or entertainment industry analyst or pop culture historian on camera. Some of these people had written one article about Michael Jackson in 2002. One network's expert had most recently appeared discussing Toby Keith's greatest hits. The bar for expertise collapsed in real fucking time. And then Let's go to the memorial service on July 7th at Staples Center, where that was the pinnacle. 17,500 people were inside. Millions were watching globally. Mariah Carey performed. Stevie Wonder performed. Brooke Shields delivered a eulogy. Jennifer Hudson sang. Loudly, but she sang. It was the Oscars of grief. The production value was so high that people started asking who paid for it, which is a very American thing to do for a memorial service, but also a fair question.
I mean, yeah, that's a great question. I mean, maybe donations, I guess, but like,
Maybe they PayPal them.
there you go.
Ding. This was the moment that permanently blurred the line between news and entertainment. Before June 25th, 2009, CNN was news that occasionally covered entertainment. After June 25th, 2009, every network understood that entertainment grief could generate ratings that hard news rarely matched. The Michael Jackson death coverage was both a funeral and a proof of concept. The entertainment industrial complex took notes. And I will say this, Nancy Grace looked like she had been training for this specific moment her entire career. She came out of that coverage with the energy of someone who just won a championship. Ma'am, read the room. The room is a funeral. And through all of it, the helicopters circling a house, the experts who didn't exist last Tuesday, Nancy Grace arriving to this moment like she'd been in training her whole career. Through every single second of that circus, the music just kept playing. And here is where the music hit different after he died. The thing about Michael Jackson's music after he died is that you didn't go looking for it. It came looking for you. Radio stations played it. Stores played it. Your neighbor played it out of a window you didn't even know was open. You were going to hear Michael Jackson whether you sought it out or not, which meant the grief was ambient. It was in the air. You couldn't choose when to encounter it. It found you. Let's go to Human Nature. That song, which for most people had been pleasant, background music, something smooth that played at the dentist or during a slow scene in a movie, became almost unbearable to listen to. Not because it was sad, because of how alive he sounded in it. That's the specific cruelty of losing a performer. The recordings keep showing up. They don't mourn with you. They just keep being exactly what they always were. And you have to stand there and reckon with the distance between that voice and the silence it came from. That hit different. Next, you have Man in the Mirror. Man in the Mirror stopped being a pop song. It became a congregational song, not a pop song, a congregational song. Churches played it, not gospel stations, churches. Memorials played it. Teachers played it in classrooms on classroom CD players in 2009. That is a level of commitment to the moment. Music becomes a congregational song when it carries something bigger than itself, when it becomes a container for what a group of people cannot say out loud. That week, Man in the Mirror became that container. A moderately famous inspirational pop record became a hymn almost overnight. Then let's get to the kids who found him through death. The ones born after Thriller. Justin?
You?
Those kids discovered Michael Jackson through death. And I want you to sit with how strange that is as an entry point to an artist. Their first real encounter with his work wasn't a concert. It wasn't a parent playing off the wall on a Sunday morning. It was watching their parents cry and then being handed a CD and told, "This is who we lost." That generation has a relationship to his music that is permanently tinged with grief they inherited but didn't earn. They came to the music already knowing the ending, and that is a specific kind of complicated that most of us will never fully understand. And here's the honest thing, the thing underneath it all. Michael Jackson dying revealed how much cultural weight one person can carry without anyone realizing it until it was gone. He wasn't just famous. He wasn't just talented. He wasn't just a celebrity. He was a shared language, a vocabulary that entire generations had been using every single day without ever stopping to notice they were using it. The moonwalk reference in casual conversation. I will moonwalk all up and down your ass. I say that very regularly before I whip somebody's ass. The Thriller costume that required no explanation, the single glove, the red jacket, the spin, the way somebody could just hum 4 notes and an entire room would know exactly what song it was. That was not celebrity, that was infrastructure. And when the infrastructure goes, you don't notice it the way you notice a person leaving. You notice it the way you notice the lights going out everywhere, all at once. That's what the grief was actually about. Not a celebrity dying, a shared vocabulary suddenly going silent. For millennials, Michael Jackson dying felt like finding out Santa Claus got assassinated. And then when you were still sitting with all of that, still processing the ambient grief and the congregational songs and the question of what it means to lose a shared language, your auntie texts you that he was alive in Cuba with Tupac. Share before they delete this. And just like that, you had to go back to being annoyed at people. Which brings us, unfortunately, to the final portion of today's program where we hold some people accountable. The History Was Ghetto Committee has convened and we have names. Hey, what you doing? Stop what you're doing right now and subscribe to the Jodcast Show podcast. So, we've reached the portion of the program where we acknowledge a painful truth. The internet needs parents. Not guidelines, not community standards, not a terms of service agreement that nobody reads. Parents. Somebody who looks at what you just posted and says, baby, no.
I like that one.
Yeah, I was in the lab.
We all need someone with that, like that.
Baby, no.
This ain't it, babe.
This ain't it, baby. June 25th, 2009 showed us what the internet looks like when it gets access to a tragedy with no adult supervision. And in the spirit of historical accountability, the History Was Ghetto Committee has convened. We have reviewed the evidence, we have deliberated, and we have prepared to announce the inaugural class of the Ghetto Hall of Shame. These are the people, institutions, and general categories of human beings who made the death of Michael Jackson significantly more chaotic than it needed to be. The committee thanks you for your service. The committee also wishes you would have stayed the fuck home. Now, first, TMZ. Inducted into the Ghetto Hall of Shame for the following offense: having the obituary, the family tree, the slideshow presentation, and what appeared to be pre-written contextual analysis ready to publish within 18 minutes of a man being pronounced dead. The committee acknowledged that TMZ was correct. The committee also notes that being correct this fast raises questions nobody on this panel is qualified to answer. TMZ, welcome to the hall. Next, inducted for producing 47-minute investigative documentaries in approximately 19 hours using Windows Movie Maker, a free piano loop from a stock music website, and a red circle drawn around what turned out to be a parking meter. The committee notes that 17 million people watched these videos. The committee further notes that the red circle technique you pioneered in 2009 is still being used today. You didn't solve anything. You did, however, create a genre. The hall welcomes you. Next, inducted for composing 400-word eulogies for a man they had never met, with timestamps as though they were filing an incident report. The committee read your essays. The committee counted the number of times you used the phrase, "I remember where I was." The committee would like to remind you that grief is not a creative writing prompt. And yet, some of you turn in genuinely moving work, which makes this more complicated than the committee anticipated. The hall accepts you reluctantly. Next, the fake mourners. You know who you are. You did not own a Michael Jackson album before June 24th, 2009. You could not have named 3 songs from Dangerous. You refer to Off the Wall as that one old one. And yet by June 27, you had a candle. You had a handwritten sign. You were outside in public with feelings. The committee does not question the feelings. The committee simply notes that the timeline is suspicious. The hall is watching you. Let's get into inductee number 5, the celebrity statement writers. Inducted specifically for the subset of statements that use the word I more than 10 times in a tribute that was technically about someone else. The committee read your statements. The committee counted one statement, and the committee will not name names, but you know who you are. Used the word I 14 times in a tribute to Michael Jackson. The committee would like to gently suggest that a tribute is not a memoir. The hall has this very special wing for you. It's called This Is Really About Me Pavilion. Your plaque is ready. Then let's go into the bootleg RIP merch hustlers.
Oh, that's everywhere. That's iconic.
Inducted for having airbrush t-shirts, iron-on transfers, and unlicensed memorial hoodies. Available for purchase within hours. The committee does not fully understand the logistics. The committee is frankly a little impressed. But the committee must also acknowledge that somewhere somebody set up a folding table outside of CVS on June 26, 2009, and that person was not grieving. That person was working. The hustle is noted. The hall respects the hustle. The hall is still inducting you anyway. And look, let's be honest about what happened here. The internet gave everybody a microphone. Everybody. The conspiracy theorist, the fake mourner, the YouTube documentarian with 19 hours in a parking meter. All of them. Microphone. Audience. Go. These people believed everything except their student loan balance. That they questioned. That required receipts. That they needed to see the original documentation. But Michael Jackson is alive in Cuba with Tupac. Share before they delete it. The internet gave everybody a platform, and unfortunately they used it. All of them. Every day, starting June 25th, 2009, and they have not stopped. Michael Jackson's death changed celebrity culture forever. It changed how we grieve. It changed what grief looks like online. It changed the media, permanently blurring the line between news and entertainment in ways we are still living with. It changed the internet, giving everyone a role to play in someone else's tragedy, whether they deserved it or not. And honestly, June 25th, 2009 might have been the exact moment society became permanently online. The moment we all logged on and never fully logged off. Michael Jackson was definitely the last person everybody agreed on, and somehow, even in agreeing on his greatness, we found a way to be completely chaotic about it. Subscribe to the John Cass Show podcast right now if this episode found you at the right time. Drop a comment telling me where you were when Michael Jackson died, and I need you, and I'm personally asking you to tell me what historical moment deserves the next History Was Ghetto episode, because the committee is already in session and we have more names. And baby, history was ghetto.